What was the scariest part of World War One? Chemical warfare? Trench warfare? What about the French people? Well, there was something even scarier than French people. A super spooky battle that I promise to you is completely true. My name is Conovan, and this is the Attack of the Dead Men. Alright, let's rewind the clock. Before we all got addicted to YouTube, before people started dressing up like chickens in the 60s, apparently there was this thing called World War One, which started when someone tried to assassinate the Franz Ferdinand band. Now, I've personally never even heard of this so-called World War One. Apparently it's the prequel to an even larger war, but I'll believe that when I see it. But anyway, it's 1914, Franz Ferdinand hasn't shown up at the German concert, which completely angers them, making them declare war on literally everybody else, including the Russians. And if we just fast forward past the first 3 years of bloody war, we get up to the Attack of the Dead Men, which is what this video is about. In this battle, the Germans were led by the future president Paul von Hindenburg, who spent the entire time smoking as many cigarettes as humanly possible, which I'm sure is going to end perfectly well. The Russians, meanwhile, were led by a man called Vladimir Khapovich Kotlinsky. But he doesn't have a Wikipedia page, so we're not going to talk about him. The battle was part of a deep push into Russian territory. I can't really remember why. I think it had something to do with Belgium. When in doubt, blame Belgium. Now, the Russians were notoriously underfunded. Only about half the soldiers were even given guns, so naturally the Germans were able to push them continuously further and further back, until they had a final stand in the Awijek fortress. This fortress was deep inside Russian Empire, and try as they might, the Russians could never penetrate it, even when they tried the back door. They would shoot at it, but the bullets would bounce off. They would send planes to bomb it, but they forgot that bomber planes haven't been invented yet. They even wheeled in their giant 18-inch cannons, but after firing a few rounds, all the Russians had to do was just avoid the rooms in the front of the building, and then they'd be fine. Well, Field Marshal Hindenburg had a crazy idea. How about we gas the motherfuckers? And guess who was later inspired by him? They knew that the Russian army didn't even supply gas masks, so when the wind was in their favor, they wheeled in chlorine and bromine gases in front of the fortress and let loose like a Taco Bell bathroom. When bromine and chlorine mixes, it creates hydrochloric acid, which obviously you shouldn't breathe in, as it burnt all of the Russians' faces and their lungs, giving them the zombified appearance that created the name of the battle, the Battle of the Dead Men. But these Russian motherfuckers, they were literally too angry to die. They covered their mouths with rags soaked in piss, not to stop the gas, but just to assert dominance, and they charged the Germans in an attempt to push them away from the fortress. So, what do you do when 900 zombies start charging you? Well, obviously, the Germans broke rank and got the fuck out of there. It should also be noted that while the Russians were charging, the gases were still taking effects on their bodies. Most of the soldiers were coughing up bits of their lung as they charged, which is so fucking metal, Jesus. The dead men were surrounding the Germans, making spooky zombie noises. Suddenly, Arya Stark jumps 15 meters from a tree, killing the leader in what would become the stupidest fucking ending of any TV show ever. Like, what the fuck were they thinking? And that's the story of how D.B. Weiss and David Benioff ruined what could have been the greatest TV show ever. As a result of the charge, the Russians were able to narrowly take a victory from the Germans despite the overwhelming odds placed against them. In the aftermath of the attack, the Russian soldiers were able to rest and relax as Russian citizens. With the hardships of World War I over, they could sit back and enjoy as their country experienced Communist Revolution, Civil War, World War II, and then finally 50 years of communism. So in short, life was good for those Russians. And that's about it. My name is Conovan. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and cheers. If you've watched this far, let me know if you have any ideas for future videos, and well, thank you for watching.